So I've got a lot to do today and clearing out the polytunnel and starting the big replanting. There's a lot of mess in here. I'm just going to quickly walk you through just to see what is going on. So these are all Calabrese and I've just finished harvesting these. We've taken a lot of really big heads off here and I'll show you the first week's harvest now. And I've just done another one basically the same size. So it's been worthwhile, I think, having the Calabrese in here. It's worked well, but the time has come to take those out. And then I've got celery down here, which I'm going to leave in. I've got these potatoes, which I'm going to either harvest or just move outside. I've got courgettes in here, which I'm harvesting now, so I'm going to keep on harvesting those in here. I've got one cauliflower in there, which I think I'll leave. Up on the shelves, I've got my second succession of tomatoes, and they're coming on quite well. I've got a lot of tomatoes, though, you know, first earlies and second earlies, and so I'm not really in a rush to get main crop tomatoes, because we've just got so many, which is good because I'm planting them quite late. And then I've got beetroot all the way down here, and I always put in way too much beetroot. I mean, I'm really annoyed with myself. I don't really want to take it out because, well, it's just so good. But I can't get through that much beetroot in the next month or so. Anyway, behind here, that's where, down the edge there, is where all the tomatoes are going. So I'm going to have to clear all this lettuce and Asian greens and some of the bits of beetroot. Yeah, lots to do. So I'm just cutting these Calabrese off at the roots. Right, just get all those chopped up. So that is already looking a lot better. Those Calabrese though, I've taken a lot of water out of these beds. They're rock hard and very dry. So probably about 10 cans of water need to go into that lot before I do anything else. Right, so this year I'm going for order rather than chaos in the polytunnel. Last year it got a bit out of hand, and I decided this year that I'm going to do less planting and I'm going to grow things that are a bit more controllable. And so I've decided I'm going to do 3 melons. I've got 2 Minnesota midgets and 1 champagne watermelon. I'm still going to do loads. I think I'm going to do 6 watermelons outside, or 6 melons rather outside as well. So as I always do when I'm planting things that don't like much root disturbance, I just like to kind of start off with a hole that's the shape of the pot, like that. And then kind of form it a little bit with my hand. Pleased to see it's damp down there now. Get the pot in to the right level, kind of firm the compost around it like that. And then go and get a halo. So I want the halo to go on like that. I like the fact it's got these little pegs that go direct the water into the root zone. You can also water through here as well if you want to. So this is a Minnesota midget. It's looking okay. Desperately in need of a support string. And actually I'll put the halo on first. I'll just drop that through there. It's a bit fiddly, but it's worth it. I really do like these halos. Okay, so let's tie this in to its string. I'm using a new system this year. So it's really nice twine, which I bought in bulk, and these fancy clips. So they kind of just tighten there around the string and support the stem with that foam, which is super cool. So you kind of pop it in like that. First time I've done this. And then, how do you get that? Oh yeah, like that. Pop the string through, like that. Da-da-da. Right, and you only need two because of their foam support, which kind of is meant to go just above the leaves, but it doesn't matter right now. You just need one effectively there, or maybe even there, and one lower down, and you just keep on going up. You keep moving this one up, and then you move the one that's there up, basically, like that. So I haven't done that one quite right. I'll come back and fix that in a second. So I'm now pretty knackered at this point, and just going to work my way down here, popping in one tomato about every 18 inches in halos again, using the same basic technique that I used before. And I've limed the soil with dolomite lime, which I find helps with bottom end rot. And these are pretty big plants. I'm just going to take some of these lower leaves off and these side shoots before I put them in, because it's hard to side shoot a plant when its stem is in a halo. It's not too bad, a little bit pot bound, but not too bad. I have to put the halo on first, drop it through the halo. And I do not plant very deep, because I find the plants, they quite happily put deep roots down on their own. The richest soil that I've got is the soil that is near the top, and lower down it's just sand, so it doesn't give me much advantage, I don't think, to plant deep. I'm just planting deep down into sand, basically, so I don't like that. Plant fairly well towards the back because of all these horrible beetroot. Well, they're not horrible, but right now, when you're kind of having to plant around them, they're quite annoying. And I'll mainly be feeding these, which are actually San Marzano, that's the variety, by the way, with liquid feed. But I've put a little bit of poultry manure in the holes. No, not in the holes, on top of the soil, and I've just worked it in a little bit. Right, so those are all in. So I thought I'd look at some of the things I got wrong here. So the first thing I got wrong was I planted these two plants too close together because I was tired. I've had a very busy few days, and so even now they're 16 apart, even though I've angled this line right up here. I'll probably angle it a little bit further away. Most of them are about 18 inches, that's 16. I should have measured them, basically, is what it comes down to. It's about 16 and a half, 17, something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's just lazy not to measure something like this when it's kind of pretty important to get them about the right spacing. I left that up and it's making loads of noise in the wind, so apologies for that in the video. I have got some grafted plants on order from Dobbies. These grew so well, so these are Black Moon down here, these are San Marzano down here, that I decided to plant them. If the ones from Dobbies turn out to be in good condition, which often they're not, unfortunately, I will probably take some of these out and replant them with the grafted ones. And if these kind of are really well established and the grafted ones are rubbish like they have been before and I've got my money back, then I'll leave them be. But they're ready for planting now, so that's why they've gone in there. As I said, I put too much beetroot in here. There's enough beetroot here probably to last me over 3 months, 3 or 4 months. And that's way too much, even though I'm harvesting them quite small. So I've just wasted a lot of space in the polytunnel, and as I say, I should probably take them out, but at the moment I just can't sort of bring myself to do it. So these melons that I put in here, that one's okay, but these two should have been these two. So these are the ones that are far on that were designated for the polytunnel, but these little ones here, anyway, they're meant to go in the cold frames. I'm not going to take them out because I haven't got enough, so these are going to have to go in the cold frames. So it'll make an interesting experiment to see whether these, in the more optimum conditions perhaps of the polytunnel, at least in early summer, do better than these which are just a few weeks older in the cold frames. And I should mention actually that these clips here, these are designed for tomatoes. I've used them on melons. Now it's not clear to me whether that's actually going to be a good idea, because tomatoes have got a very tough stem, melons might not, so I might be squashing these stems even though this foam is pretty good. We'll just have to see what happens really there. When I planted this one, you can see it's a bit floppy, in fact it's very floppy. The bottom root ball kind of fell away, and obviously that was quite a lot of root disturbance, because I hadn't watered this pot enough. I'd made the mistake of bottom watering some of these, and when you do that, the uptake of water from some of them is considerable and the uptake of water from others is negligible, and you know, lots of factors sort of go into that. But obviously that one didn't uptake much water, so it dried out quicker, and that's why I like to top water, because they know exactly how much water is going in. And that's about it. So these clips, as I say, I've bought these because I hate the plastic clips. I always end up with loads of plastic clips in my compost when I take the plants out, and they're just really fiddly, and they break, and obviously the plastic, and so there's a lot of plastic use going on there. The alternative is to wind your plants around the string, which I have done for a few years, but again, I don't really like doing it. I find what it does, it makes the plant stems kind of twist and deform. I think this is going to result in a nice straight stem. Maybe it doesn't matter if your stems twist and deform if you're using a wider spacing, but because I've got all these crammed in at 18 inches or less, I really want the plants to grow really straight, and because they hang from these, it results in a really nice straight stem. Well, that's the theory anyway. So they are a big investment, and it probably would take years for these to pay back, but obviously because of YouTube I have a fairly good gardening budget, so I can afford to sort of experiment with things. Anyway, I'm giving these a go. They look good, but I'm not recommending them. I don't want to sort of advertise them at this point, other than to say that I'm using them so we can see how I go. But yeah, I don't want lots of people to go out and buy them and then find the rubbish. Yeah, this is the twine that goes with them. And so I bought this twine, I think it was about £18 or something like that. And I thought it was, you know, expensive for twine, and then because it's really strong. But then it arrived and I realised it's actually really cheap for twine. So yeah, I think this will last me for years. Probably have to keep it out of the sun, but it's in the sun for now because it's convenient. So that's it. I am pretty pleased to have got this far today. As I say, I'm pretty tired. I've still got a few strawberries to eat. I must have eaten 20 or 30 strawberries, but I can't resist them. You know, once I start eating them, they're so good. Down here, I planted about a third of my strawberries on the brain, strawberries in my mouth. I planted about a third of my tomatoes. The rest of them I plant outside or in the greenhouse. Some are in hanging baskets in the greenhouse, and some are just in pots outside. I don't find the greenhouse is that superb a sort of environment, or the polytunnel for growing tomatoes. They often grow so much better outside than they grow undercover. It's just so hot undercover. I must admit, you know, I love this polytunnel, but I don't love it that much in summer. I love it in spring, I love it in winter, I love it in autumn, but I'm not a big fan in summer. Too hot, too much watering, and plants don't really love it. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.